By the time this conversation is over, you're going to understand something about female sexuality that most men spend their entire lives completely blind to. So don't go anywhere. We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. Happy hump day, guys. Today's episode is going to be a real treat. If you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, Morgan May has been on the show before, and every time she sits down with me, something gets said that the internet is not ready for. Today, we're talking about the Madonna-Whore complex. We can't say the real word. It's not the 8-minute mark. We can't be adults until the 8-minute mark. But we're going to be talking about the Madonna-Whore complex, why women split themselves in two around men they actually want, and what the man sitting across from her has to do with all of it. If you've ever felt like your woman is holding out on you and couldn't tell why, this conversation is going to hit every single answer you've been looking for. So don't go anywhere because we're fitting to blow your mind today. Let me bring her up. Hey, Morgan.
Hi, Paul.
Ready to break the internet?
Let's go.
Every time Morgan comes on, she always says something. Oh, speaking of which, check this out, Morgan, before we get into it. Check this out. I've got a sound bite.
You're weak as shit and call yourself an alpha. Like, get fucked.
Yes, guys, that just demonetized me. So do be sure to send super chats. And we're going to do it like fresh and fit today. So if you guys want to hold Morgan accountable for her insolence, send a $20 super chat and I'll be sure to read it on the podcast. So Morgan, before we get into all this, why don't you introduce yourself for the guys in the audience who've been living under a rock and don't know who you are?
Hi, everyone. I'm Morgan May. Paul and I go way back. I think Paul's one of the first podcasts I went on when I started blowing up on TikTok, but I'm an oracle, an advisor for the hot, rich, and powerful, I like to say. I help women integrate their darker feminine traits to be better leaders and better women in their relationship with a program, Nice Girl Deprogramming. I work with entrepreneurs, women, some men lately. They've been finding me. So, yeah.
Cool. Very cool. So I just want to get right into it here. You talk a lot about dark masculine energy. Like I would say in the red pill space, we'd call that dark triad traits. Would you agree? So from a woman's perspective, why does a man who embodies that actually give her more permission to be sexual and not less? Because I would imagine the fact that this kind of guy would give her that kind of permission to, let her be who she really is. That's probably why they're more drawn to dark triad type guys. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think women are drawn to those types of men for a few reasons, but a big one is that kind of permission slip, because those men, any dark masculine or dark feminine energy, it inherently cuts through the bullshit. It cuts through the masks. It's like it kind of acknowledges that we're all prancing around, the civilized world, acting a certain way. You and I are exchanging formalities, being very polite. Like in truth, we're all sexual creatures. We all do stuff behind the scenes that we don't bring forth into the light. But the dark masculine has this energy about him that kind of like coaxes it out of the woman, almost like kind of like clocks her fucking mask. That doesn't even want that. He doesn't want the nice girl because he knows that it's kind of bullshit. He wants like the real truth, and he kind of elicits the darker other side of the virgin, whatever, in the complex. So because of that, because he's really comfortable with that in himself, and because he wants that of the woman, it's kind of like, oh, I can like shed my mask and like we can dance, in authenticity and in like these other realms. So I would say that. That's my experience anyways in the face of guys like
just
that.
fully enjoy yourself. Like you're getting what you've been always wanting and you've been holding back. I'm getting what I've always wanted and I've been holding back. Like we can just, when we're around each other, we can just really be who we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because what's fascinating is, I mean, as you work with nice girls and I work with nice guys. I'm a recovering nice guy, you know, and that by itself is probably one of the most, one of the worst masks to put on is you're trying to convince someone that you're this really nice, great guy by doing all this covert contract type stuff, but it's inherently manipulative. You're anything but nice. When you don't get what you want, you have a temper tantrum about it, or you build up a lot of internal resentment that just builds up over time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do anybody any good.
And to your point, we can feel it. I can feel when I'm in the presence of a man who's fucking bullshitting me, being nice or not being authentic. Like I can feel I feel unsettled and I feel like I can't trust you. And if I feel like that, then I don't feel safe and then I don't feel sexual, so it's like shooting yourself in the foot. With nice guys, they think that they're doing all this and, but you're really bending, you're being the submissive to what you perceive the woman wants. And we can feel that weakness, right? So with a dark masculine, he doesn't do any of that. You know exactly what you're getting. A lot of them are like polyamorous or they have multiple women and the woman knows that, but she's okay with it because he's being honest with her, that she like knows what to expect. A lot of women would actually prefer that versus like the fake not to like open a whole other can of worms, but like right. This is the nature of the dark masculine. He's unapologetic about himself. He says exactly what he wants, even if he knows other people are not going to like it, as opposed to the nice guy. And that creates safety in our bodies because we're like, oh, there's coherence with you. And so I feel safe now. And so I'm going to open up like sexually,
Yeah. Yeah. We would, I would describe that as being congruent. Right. Yeah. Like your behavior matches the words that are coming out of your mouth. And the way for you guys out there, the reason why they could feel this is through their shit testing, which a lot of times is unconscious. They'll throw something at you and just your reaction to it, how you respond, something goes off in their lizard brain that goes, there's something off here. There's something not right here. He's not being who he really is. I don't trust him. And that's why it behooves you to understand that even is a thing and how to handle it correctly. Because if you just, if you handle it right, you like to your point, Morgan, you'll feel more safer and secure. You'll feel a little more connected. A little more rapport will have been built and stuff like that when you build that trust between people. And that's how this all works. Before we get into the next question, though, guys, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. So the virgin Heuer split has been traced back to men's fear of female sexual power. Is that true statement? I don't know where I know that the concept of the Madonna-Whore complex comes from Sigmund Freud, but tell me the history of that.
My interpretation of it, women are very foreign creatures to men. And, when it comes to understanding women, I mean, it's like women are from Venus, men are from Mars, right? And so, I'm talking a lot about women feeling safe. Men have to feel safe as well with a woman. And when you're dealing with this primal energy, we can like create and destroy life. You
could destroy men's lives.
Yeah, for real. But it's really intense. And I think the masculine, it's a fear of the feminine in general, not just, the sexuality is part of that, but it's fear of things that you can't control. The masculine likes control. We all like control as humans, right? But especially when it comes to women, it's like, you can't, we're just this, when you look at all the female archetypes and the goddess archetypes, a lot of them are like fucking wild, like Kali, and there are these big energies that are uncontrollable because they're like what life is birthed from, like the infinite potentiality, right? So it's just this like intensity, and in order to cope with these creatures, and not being able to control women, this complex was birthed from this kind of split. You can't cope fully, so men's psyches almost split, and so all of the kind of palatable things that they can control or they can digest, it's like, you know, that's more in the virgin kind of domain, and all the things they can't, the wildness, the sexuality, the whatever, that kind of splits into the other one. So that's my interpretation of it. And a lot of other archetypes are birthed from this, like the siren archetype, luring men to their deaths. It's like men have this uncontrollable lust really at the end of it, like, and because men can't control their lust, they're afraid of how they're going to act in the face of the feminine, because they can't control themselves. So in order to cope with all this, it's like they split these two things. They demonize all the stuff that they can't control, and then there's crazy lore and Lilith, you know, as like a demoness, and on all this stuff that's cast into their shadows because they can't cope with it. And all the stuff that they can control and digest, it's like, okay, in like kind of wifey domain. So that's my interpretation of it, is a lot of these things were birthed from like the fear of men and the attempt to control something that they actually can't.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, and I go into depth in the new book, which the paperbacks for the guys that ordered autograph copies showed up. But I go into depth in that because it's something that, like, I don't know, it was something that I'd sort of heard in passing, the whole virgin whore complex or Madonna-Whore complex, whatever you want to call it. I sort of heard it in passing. Didn't really put much thought into it until I read Alan Roger Currie's books, which I don't know if you're familiar with Alan. He passed away several years ago, but he wrote a phenomenal book series called the Mode 1 book series, right? Mode 1. He was the godfather of direct game, which is basically the way it really works. Because a lot of guys think the way Alan would do it was just walk up and say, "Hey, you want to bang?" You know, and that's not how it works, you know, because you can't just do that. You know, like women are like, "What the hell? No, of course I don't want to bang," you know. But what he would really do is gauge a woman's body language. And women typically have a 3-foot safety radius around them at all times. And they don't want strangers that they're not attracted to into that space. So what he would do is he would try to get into that space and see how the woman responded. If she stepped back, he would go, okay, I need to be a little more mode 2 and build a little bit of rapport. And then he would try a little bit, in a couple of seconds, once he built up a little more rapport, try to get into that zone. If he got into that zone and she stayed there, he just kept, getting a little bit closer, just, as they were talking. And then if she got closer to him, he knew it was on. And he could just go right to what he called getting into a woman's left ear zone. And the whole idea of that, you've probably heard me talk about the left eye, the left ear. Some guy was losing his mind on Facebook that it's pseudoscience. I'm like, hey man, try it out. It's like magic, right? But he would get into a girl's left ear zone and get down in a real low tone and start talking dirty, and women would start responding to that. They might, go, oh, how, they would say, I beg your pardon. He's, or excuse me. And he would say, you're excused, and then he would just keep doing it. And if they wouldn't move out of that left ear zone, he's like, I got him. Right. But anyway, he goes on to talk about this whole idea of the Madonna-Whore complex. And the Madonna-Whore complex to him is, guys look at good girls like, oh, this is wifey material. This is a girl I want to settle down with, a girl I want to raise my children with. And if she expresses any form of, more than missionary sex, oh gosh, she belongs to the streets and she's a hooer now. And they lose, I guess, respect for them. And all of a sudden it's like all women contain both. And the reason why they're not showing you the dirty side, because all these guys are getting with these good girls, they're getting starfish sex, and then they're filling out they're living out their fantasies either by going to actual whores, or they're going on dirty sites. And it's like, if you wanted her to be like more like this, you got to give her the room to do it and make her feel safe enough to let that out, And so it's a big problem with a lot of guys. I see it in the comments all the time. You know, guys, you can just see it in how they respond. They're like, oh, a woman like that, no, I would never, you know, she's not wifey material. And I'm like, for one, why are you thinking about marriage in 2026? Bad deal for men anyway. But but on top of that, like, who cares, man? Like, do you want to end up in a dead bedroom? So many of my one-on-one clients got with women because they held out for months and stuff. It's like, no, bro, she just didn't like you. And she just wanted someone to put a ring on it so she would have a provisioner. And of course she's not putting out for you. She doesn't have that genuine, visceral desire for you. And you thought it would be better when you put a ring on it? Like, but that's what guys think. And it's completely backwards, absolutely backwards. So you mentioned that women can sense this when men are afraid. Does that go back to what we were talking about before? Like, you could just sense when the guy's not congruent?
Yeah, we can sense that. We can also sense this complex that you're talking about. Like, a guy, they're kind of like paranoid almost. Like, I've like been on dates and a guy's like scanning to like see things, or like size me up, or like, sexual history stuff. Like, it's this like paranoia.
What's your body count, Morgan? Right?
Oh,
Do they?
I've been asked that one time on a date. I was horrified. I didn't know what. I was like frozen. I've never been asked that in real life except for one time.
Tell the question, guys. Don't ask.
Like, that's so crazy. Turns out the guy was so this is the other thing. The guy ended up being a fucking whore. Okay. Like, we got down into it, and I apparently been with thousands of women, and I'm like, that's called projection. So a lot of times these guys do this, and they're judging, and they're trying to size you up for being that. They're the guilty ones. And then they're projecting their proclivities and their behavior onto you, and paranoid that they're going to be with a philanderer or whatever, because actually they are. So,
yeah.
But we can feel it. We can feel that complex. It makes us very uncomfortable, because then it's like, oh, now I have to fit into this box. If I do like a guy and I think that he's like that, then I have to be wifey. But maybe I have a more wild side, and we could have a lot of fun and be more authentic and really connect. But like, I have to be in this like wifey box, so that you don't think that I'm too much, or like I'm like that kind of girl,
Yeah.
So it's very confusing for women.
I get it, because women also, they instinctively know a lot of men are wired this way. Mm-hmm. So if they are looking for a relationship, they're like, I really want to commit to somebody. They will lead with that. They'll lead with the wholesome. Oh no, I don't. Oh, I know I have to be in a committed relationship before I'm willing to have sex with a man. We're not having sex tonight, right? And they'll say that kind of stuff on a first date, and like a lot of that. What I teach guys is like, treat it like a shit test. Like, especially on the first date, like it's almost never a good idea to get overly sexual with a woman on a first date. It's like, if she brings stuff up, a lot of the time she wants to see how you'll react, and if you'll put your foot in your mouth. And if you put your foot in your mouth and start talking about body counts and shit like that, she's going to be like, oh, no, I'm done. So if you just playfully, sort of throw it back on her, like, she's like, we're not having sex tonight, but you brought it up, like, I just leave it at that. It's not a no. It's not a no. She'll feel more safe. Like, oh, okay, he didn't lose his mind and stuff. Or start, oh, of course not. No, I have to be in a committed relationship too. And then be all beta about it. Right. Like, if you just playfully, hey, you're the one who brought it up, and then let that hang in the air, you're probably going to end up having sex tonight or the next night, like but a lot of guys just don't know how to play the game, and it's a dance. Like you said before, it's a dance, right?
That's a good line to all the guys listening. I should steal that from Paul. You brought it up. I feel like, because also when men lean back, then we want it more. When we don't feel pressure, when we don't feel like you're trying to get that, or then I'm like, okay, how am I really feel? It's like, it's not like a needy thing. If you're leaning back and it's like kind of whatever, like, you brought up whatever, then we're thinking about it.
That reminds me, I have a clip. I kept this clip because it's the most perfect example of this. Because one of the things I talk about too a lot in the podcast is when you're, women say, you gotta have consent, And what that sort of Me Too movement message does is effectively weeds out beta males that are afraid to learn how to seduce properly, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I tell guys is, like, verbally asking for consent, it's not gonna work in your favor. It's gonna give the girl the ick. And the reason why, and I talk about it more in the new book, is because it puts her in her analytical mind instead of feeling the moment out. Is what women want to. They want this to be a dance. You know, they want to feel chemistry going. And as soon as you make her get into her rational mind, like, do I want to give consent to this guy? She's out of it, you know? So really it's more about paying attention to her body language and her facial expressions and her tone and stuff like that. If you go to make a move and she's like giving you body language of, I'm not into this, pull back, you know, like it's no big deal, and don't make a big deal out of it. And then build some more rapport, try again later because she wants to feel it out. And one thing too is I tell guys is a lot of times women will say, I'm not ready for this yet. And it's a lot of times it's a shit test. And a lot of times women, when I put out videos like that, women immediately are like, what? No. You need to respect our boundaries and stuff like that. I'm like, we are respecting your boundaries, but hear me out. So I kept this video because this video really sort of gives a better example of it from a woman's point of view.
So I still do this as a sexually active adult. I pretend I'm not ready to have sex with someone new yet, just to make sure they're a good person first. I call it the Gobstopper test. I go, oh, I'm not ready. Is that okay? He's like, totally fine. No worries at all. And I'm like, Charlie, you won! You did it! I knew you could, my boy. Now come inside my chocolate factory. It's all for you.
99% of the time, that's how it plays out. You know, like if you just are like, hey, cool, hey, no problem. You know, can I get you another drink? You know, whatever. Just move the conversation along like it's no big deal. Try again later. Now all of a sudden she feels more comfortable because she knows that you'll stop when she asks you to. That you're perceptive. That, you know, because my friend Paul Benjamin from Apex Mindset, he said, he's like, women have an existential fear of being with a guy who, you know, can't control himself in a bad way. And when you tell him to stop, like he just won't. And now she's being assaulted, right? She's got this, a very real fear for that. And so she needs to feel safe that no, you will stop when I'm not comfortable. And as soon as she knows, okay, cool. Now we can dance, you know, now we can play the game. And that tends to work out most of the time, you know. But a lot of guys are, because of the social programming and the messaging and the Me Too movement and all this stuff, the guys are deathly afraid. That's why a lot of women are complaining, like, guys don't even talk to me anymore. It's like, yeah, you guys have programmed a lot of men, and you know, easily 80% of dudes are nice guys, betas. You know, they'll respect that to the point of their own detriment. You know, and it's not helpful to anyone. But it's like, man, just be perceptive, bro. Just take a minute and be perceptive. It's so hard for dudes, so hard for guys. Morgan, men have historically demonized women who didn't fit the wholesome good girl category, calling them witches, Heuers, Lilith. If you guys don't know who Lilith is it in the book of Enoch that they talk about Lilith? She was essentially Adam's first wife. Like, God created Lilith first, and Lilith didn't play no shit. And Adam didn't like that. So God said, okay, you know what? This isn't working out. Okay, let me just make a woman out of your rib, bro. And, you know, because that's what happens. So is sexually free women still being punished socially today, just in a different language? I mean, I know the answer to this, but obviously, but what's your take on that? I
mean, yeah, I think these like this biblical stories, they're like embedded in our genes. Like, we're all raised in an environment where it's like Adam and Eve, and we don't even hear about Lilith until later. And, you know, it's like programmed in us, in our subconscious, and even how we act. A girl will learn, like she'll learn early enough, like, you know, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, right? So yeah, I mean, it's not just like sexually free. I'm not talking about being promiscuous, right? But like open with even a partner, like, you know, I had a client once, they're now married, but she kind of had to play coy at first. And eventually, like, she really opened up, and her husband was like, I know that it's not your first fucking rodeo based on how you throw down in the bedroom, but it's like, you have to act a certain way first, and then eventually you get there. But it's like, it's this fear that we have in it. Is he going to reject me and whatever? So it's certainly like super pervasive, and it's a shame, because I mean, their relationship got so much better after they were able to be really, open and whatever in that way. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are cast into the shadow of the feminine today, like I would say spirituality with women that is not like Christian or in a specific box. Even like anger, women's anger. I don't know if we talked about that last time, but like that has been deemed as like crazy, and you'll be put on medication, versus like real anger and something valid to just have an impassioned emotion about. Like all these things are kind of like unacceptable for the woman.
There's a stigma in society that like when a man is being assertive, well, he's being a dominant, assertive man, like he deserves respect. A woman who's being assertive, she's a fucking Karen, right?
Yeah, or a bitch.
She's a bitch. Yeah.
So
I get it.
Pervasive, yeah. And
so guys, let me ask you this, guys that are watching right now. Do you think the women in your life still hold back sexually because of what other people think of them? Drop yes or no in the chat, or if you're watching live, and if you're watching the replay, drop a comment below. So society generally rewards men for their darker, more aggressive traits, which this was the perfect lead into it, right? And they punish women's equivalent. How does that imbalance play out in the bedroom?
I would say, like, I've coached women who they're just a bit sexually repressed, and I kind of have to like deprogram a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. And some of that repression looks like they don't initiate sex with their partners, and they don't know how, or they're insecure, or they don't want to come across a certain way, or they're afraid of rejection, right? So that's certainly one where she's not initiating. I'm sure that could have ramifications on how the man feels wanted or desired, right? So,
well, the way it plays out for nice guys is they will essentially be initiating all the time. She's rejecting him most of the time. And then then they stop, and they're like, okay, fine, I'm going to wait until she initiates. And then if she's one of those kinds of women that just is afraid to initiate, now they're in a dead bedroom because she's never going to initiate. And he's like, I want to feel desired too. And so what I always tell guys is, like, women are passive by nature. Like, feminine energy is receptive and passive. And so if you want more sex, initiate more. It's almost like the law of averages, the better you could dick her down, the more she's going to be into it, though. Right. So if you're not ringing her bell in the bedroom, she's going to tell you no a lot more than she's going to tell you yes, because you're just not giving her a pleasurable experience that she's looking forward to. So, but she'll still probably be more receptive than she's not, at least a couple of times a week, and so, but guys are like, no, I want to feel desire too. It's like, that's just not in women's nature. Now you're acting like the woman by expecting her to initiate. It's like guys who expect women to approach them when it comes to, dating and stuff like that. Like 99% of the time, a woman's not going to walk up and approach you. But if you guys are perceptive, you'll realize that women do initiate probably, like, I think I saw a statistic, 96% of interactions with men.
Oh,
just by their, like, making eye contact, putting themselves in their proximity. Like, guys will eventually go, I think I want to talk to that girl. Well, the reason why they even get that inkling is because she's putting off a vibe that she wants to be approached, and most guys suck at that or they're too chicken shit to even do that. But if you guys are just perceptive, you'll start spotting it everywhere. When I was trying to get better at dating, one of the things that I would tell myself on repeat, because I'm really big on, like, affirmations and stuff like that, is that, like, I'm the most attractive man in Colorado, and women want to approach me and stuff like that. I would tell myself that. And then when I walked out, I would actually, your reticular activating system starts pointing out stuff to you that proves your preconceived notions. That's how law of attraction works. It's your mind is saying, hey, I believe this. Let's look for evidence to prove it. It's a positive feedback loop, right? And then you start noticing women actually noticing you. They were doing it before, you just didn't notice before, you know? It's not, you know, it's not like these women showed up out of nowhere. It's because now you're recognizing the women that are doing that to you, and now you're more likely to go and interact with them. So yeah, I don't know how we went off on that tangent, but we were talking about you know, how it plays out in the bedroom and initiating, right? So yeah, so one a good example of this, I'm not going to name names, but I know of a couple. I don't work with them directly. It's just through my girlfriend nurse chick. But there's a couple where the husband's complaining that he's not getting the sex that he wants and all this kind of stuff. And when she's talking about it to nurse chick, she's telling nurse chick, she's like, well, I never deny him. You know, if he asks me for it, I never deny him. But he wants her to initiate more. And I'm like, you know, so one of the things I tell guys is like, you got to let that go, man. You got to let go having them initiate, because it's just not in their nature most of the time. So if you want more sex, initiate more. If you learn how to do it right, she'll initiate plenty. she'll when she's feeling it, she'll initiate plenty.
This is also to your point though. Earlier on, Paul, something I liked about your channel compared to other like red pill dudes, you kind of called out, there's all these red pill guys like, I want a 20-year-old virgin and this and that. And you're just like, you want a sexual woman, you can't have both. Like, you made so much content about that. Mm-hmm. Like, when it comes to this initiating thing, if a man wants a woman who initiates, like, you want a more sexual woman. Like, the sexual women that I work with, like, you know, when I have an appetite, when I'm with a partner, like, women have sexual appetites, like, and sometimes we want what we want too, like, and it's not going to be equal. We do not have the sexual appetite of a man, you know, we don't have testosterone like that, but like, initiating has not been an issue in my relationships or in some of my partners, my clients' relationships, right? Like, it's, again, this type of woman. If you're with a really reserved woman, a really like kind of good girl, virginal, like whatever woman, like, but you want a woman to initiate and be super sexual and whatever, like, these are two different things. Like, you're not going to get that in that woman. Like, you're going to be pursuing her more because she's more in her feminine too a lot of the time. But like, women who are maybe a little bit more wild or more sexual, more passionate, whatever, like, you'll have that, you know, especially if it's good.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest problem in the red pill space is they preach, find a woman that has genuine burning desire for you. Well, you know what that looks like? A woman that wants to have sex with you. That's what it looks like. And so if a girl wants to have sex with you and all of a sudden you categorize her as for the streets, what are you even doing? What are you even doing? And so, yeah, so I see a lot of content creators out there, they'll preach genuine burning desire. And then in the very next video, they'll talk about, oh, these are all red flags with women and all this stuff. And it's like, a lot of those, what you would quote call red flags, because she wants to have sex on like a first or second date. That's not a red flag. That's a green flag, bro. Like, go for those women. That's what genuine burning desire looks like in the space. And a lot of guys just demonize it. And then they worry about stuff like body count. And I'm like, you got to get that out of your head, because you'll never know what her true body count is. Even if she gives you a number, you don't know if she's telling the truth. You don't know. She's probably not. She's probably downplaying it because she knows you're judging her for it, right? So you're never going to get that. And then they'll have this stupid thing, oh, well, just multiply it by 3. Well, that you still don't know. You're still guessing at the end of the day. So let it go and just enjoy the sex, bro.
And also, like, this whole debate, I get the argument that it's like, oh, well, you don't want someone who's going to cheat. Like, a lot of men, again, project their own sexual lust onto women, and we have a completely different sexuality. Like, I cannot open up. I don't want to have sex with you unless there's an emotional connection. You've proven that you're a trustworthy person and like you're consistent in showing up. Like women's sexuality is much different than a man's, but I feel like men just think that women are like men in their sexuality. So it's like they place a lot of like weight with that.
Well, a lot of guys too, you also have to understand, a lot of guys that find their way to the red pill space did get cheated on, you know, but a lot of it is because they don't know how to act in the relationship. And the way women typically act just with their hypergamous nature is if they're not getting one of the two sides of the hypergamy split, they want to get that other side somewhere. And if they can't get it in that relationship, a lot of times women will go outside the relationship, you know. Now, when it comes to sexuality, there's a lot of women that won't cheat. They absolutely won't. And the way they will handle that business, if he's not, you know, handling business in the bedroom, is cheesy sex novels and vibrators and stuff like that. They'll do the same thing guys do with, you know, adult videos and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, people want, like, if they can't get what they want in a relationship, even guys do that. Guys, if they're not getting the sexual experience of the relationship, they turn to porn, or they cheat, or they go, you know, it does happen on both sides of the fence.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't work with cheating, but I understand that. I also think, like, to your point, a lot of, I just love what you do. You really help men show up better in actual relationship, like with that dynamic. Cause a lot of times, like, it's like weak frame. I actually have had one client where she was being, like, ignored and kind of neglected by her partner, and kind of started talking to someone else and whatever. It was like a whole thing. But yeah, I agree with that. But you have to, like, throw down. Honestly, this is why too, like, early on, if you guys, like, engage in sex or whatever, if it's good, if both of y'all are having, like, a great time, it's genuine burning desire, it's like a real thing, like, that probability is going to significantly lower, because that is meeting, like, a real need. And also, that's how women bond. Like, that's why I have to be so discerning with that myself, because I will fall in love with you. Like, now I'm in love with you, and, like, we're going to get married and whatever. Like, I can't just be casual about it like that. So yeah, I just,
one of the things I teach in the new book is after sex is done, she's flooded with all sorts of hormones, especially oxytocin. That's the bonding hormone. And if you are present with her after, you know, they call it aftercare, right? If you are present with her in that moment, during that, that's really where the real bonding begins. And if you can create both the dopamine of the, you know, the raw sexual energy, and then also provide that oxytocin for bonding, you know, and you do that enough to where it becomes a dopamine addiction, and she is now going to be obsessed with you. And you guys have to be careful. You guys are going to have to be careful. You guys are going to have to be careful with this new book. And speaking of which, you guys all know what it's like to want her more than she wants you. You know what it's like to lie there wondering what changed. And as you're sitting here right now, you're already starting to remember what it felt like when things were good, when she was into it, when you were the one she couldn't leave alone. That feeling you just thought of, that's exactly what Dick Her Down Right gives you the tools to recreate. The Kindle pre-order is live right now. Ponder that as you watch this.
Have you ever had sex and honestly wondered, did she actually enjoy that, or was she just going along with it? Because chances are she's had better and she remembers it. What if I told you there's a way to make sure you're the one she can't stop thinking about? Most guys think good sex is about stamina or size. It's not. The men women are genuinely obsessed with aren't the biggest or the longest lasting. They're the ones who know exactly what they're doing. They're not fumbling around hoping something works. They walk in with a plan. They read her body. They control the whole experience from the first move to the last. And when it's over, she's not thinking about sleep. That's not some rare natural talent. That's a skill set, and it can be learned. Dick Her Down Right is the no-nonsense manual that breaks down exactly how women's bodies and minds work during sex, how to take charge of the experience like you actually know what you're doing, and how to become the man she's telling her friends about. Not the guy she had an okay time with, the guy she keeps coming back to, the guy she'd do almost anything to keep happy because what he does to her is in a category by itself. Every technique, every approach, every psychological principle is laid out straight. No theory, no filler, just the real information that makes the difference between average and unforgettable. Dick Her Down Right drops on Amazon and Audible this June. Any man who wants to be better in bed and have any woman he's with completely hooked on him needs this book. Get it in June.
Paperback and hardcover actually dropped this Friday, so get it now. Let's take a look at the chat, Morgan. Brother Nathan's in the house. He says, let's go. Brother Hans is in the house. He says, happy hump day. Phil says, come on, man. Eric, bless your heart, sir. Bless your heart. And then Nathan says, hey, that's my girl. And then he sent a $2,000 super chat. I can't believe how generous it is. I'm going to give him this. He says, get Paul's new book. I'm going to give everybody this today.
You're weak as shit and call yourself an alpha. Like, get fucked.
Yes, indeed. She means that from the bottom of her heart, too. And then Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Morgan. Happy hump day. Nurse Chick gets this.
I'm so naughty.
She is. She's
I'm going to come. That pussy must be ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, guys. And then Nathan says, you can be a good man, but never a nice guy. Women can spot fake. Get Nurse Chick's book for your girlfriend. And then one for your wife too. Don't ask AI. AI does not fuck. That's true. There was a guy who asked, like, the guy who got into it with me about pseudoscience when it comes to the left eye trick. He went to AI and asked about it. AI spit out a bunch of, thing. Well, there's no proven evidence or whatever. And I go, don't ask AI for, for relationship advice. AI doesn't fuck, like, stop asking AI. Stupid. Happy Wednesday, gents. And Morgan, don't ask body count. Never works. Darfin says, all women are that kind of girl for an alpha or the right man. Jason Momoa or whoever that guy is for her. Yeah, that's one thing too that, like, I tell guys, right? It's like, do the Jason Momoa test on a lot of these women, right? You want a woman that wants you. You want to choose a woman who chooses you. And that's just using Breifel's law to your advantage, right? So if you're going, you go to set dates with these women, they're blowing you off and they're cut them loose. Like, they're just not into you. It's okay. Let them go. There's 4 billion other women on the planet. Just keep going. Just keep going. You want a woman that wants to show up for the date, a woman that doesn't want to change plans, a woman that doesn't want to flake on you. Well, you just do that by not entertaining the women that do that shit, right? Like, do the Jason Momoa test. If she's doing that, she doesn't think you're Jason Momoa to her. Okay. The Resilient Man is Morgan May's #1 fan. And he goes, #3 fan. She has some simps. That's true. Do you have simps in your comments? Just, oh, you're so gorgeous, Morgan. You're so beautiful. Sometimes. Okay. Guys, remember, smashing like is alpha. That is, it's true. Morgan, smashing like is alpha, right? It's an alpha.
It's usually alpha on the Come On Man podcast.
It's definitely an alpha move. Let's see. Make her an alpha widow. Oh, I have an issue with calling sexual sexual partner in, like, relationship partners. Like, I don't advocate, and it's okay if you do it. I'm not here to change your mind on it, but
okay.
Well, it's a frame thing, right? So if you're in it
feels so gross. Like,
there's some guys that say the same thing. They're like, it's just not adult, right? It's just not adult. Yeah. So you can say, well, she's my woman, right? Like, this either way. But what I don't like about it is, to me, it destroys the polarity, the dynamic, the masculine, feminine energy by calling it partners. Because a partner, it's basically same, and it's like, I'm a man. I don't want to date another man. And you're a woman. You don't want to date another woman, and no, shout out to the lesbians and the gays out there, but that's not what we're talking about here on the podcast.
I kind of feel like it's like, you guys are like doing life together. It's like you're on the same team. That's kind of my orientation. I have a question for you though, Paul.
Yes,
I have a theory that men like kind of sink more into the virgin whore thing because of their own insecurities in the bedroom. So like, if a man cares so much about a woman's body count, it's because he's not secure enough to know that he can like dick her down so good, like, and be like one of the best or the best that she's ever had, like, per your commercial. Like, I have that there, or like it's a size thing, or just like there's some sexual insecurity where like now they have to call all women whores, and like they don't like sexual women, and because they're paranoid that the woman is going to like cheat because they're actually not good in bed, and so she's going to get her needs met elsewhere. What do you think about that?
That seems very plausible to me. I don't know, the what's going on, in a lot of guys' heads, but that seems very plausible. What I will see though, Morgan, is I see it a lot in the comments because I've been promoting the new book all month, and guys in the comments are like, "Oh no, I know I'm doing it. I know I'm getting it done right." And I'm like,
You're not.
I go, and I talk about it in the book, you know, that a woman will put on the best performance in the world to either, you know, make you feel better about your performance because she knows, she's up in her head now, like, oh, he wants to feel like he's getting the job done right, even if he's not. So women will put on this big performance, or they'll do it to make the experience end quicker, you know? And so one of the things I talk about in the book, it's something I learned from my friend, Mitch Hartwell, better known as Eric Everhard. He's a former porn star. He's got a body count of like 5,000. He's been with every type of woman ever. It's fascinating. He wrote a book years ago called Unleash Your Sexual Superpowers that is now out of print, unfortunately. And so I took a lot of the information from him and put it in this new book. He wrote the foreword for me and everything. And one of the things that he talks about is you can tell when a woman is faking it by just paying attention to her actual physiology, not the moaning, not the eye rolls, you know, not the women can even fake the leg twitches and all this kind of stuff. They fake a lot of stuff, but what they absolutely cannot fake is clitoral arousal. And so he's like, if you can pay attention to if that's engorged or not, like you'll know if she's into it or if she's not. Like if it's flaccid, she's not into it, you know? And so he taught me how to read a girl's clit like blind men read Braille. And so that's what's in the book, so that you actually know that you're getting it done right. I had an episode yesterday, Morgan. You're gonna think this is hilarious, right? But a lot of guys also have this whole fantasy about squirting, right? This whole idea of squirting. You're familiar with this? Yes. Well, anyway, I did a whole episode about what that actually is, you know, and how that plays out. And yesterday it's a wild episode. I think I shattered a lot of guys' dreams with that, you know, because it's not what you guys think it is. Go back and watch yesterday's stream. We're not going to get into it again today. It's kind of gross. So Morgan, back to the topic today. From a woman's point of view, do you think women are aware that they're operating under this dynamic, or is it mostly unconscious until someone brings it to their awareness?
It's a good question. A lot of women don't know. I talked to some women, especially women who were raised Christian or Catholic. It's just kind of like a program, and so they can't see the program until we kind of work together, and then they're like, oh, I never thought about it like that, or whatnot. Some women do, though. Some women definitely do, especially if you study dating or like game or anything like that. Like you have to kind of play into it a lot of times, because most men are operating with that, you know, or you don't really know yet, so you have to kind of feel it out. So
you know how I see it play out. I saw it when I was dating. I see it in the comment section. Women will be very honest with it too. If they're anonymous, they don't, you know, they know that I don't know this guy, right? They'll be honest about it. But what they'll say is, oh no, you know, they almost have their own Madonna-Whore complex, right? Where the guys that they want to be casually sexual with, they don't look at those guys like long-term commitment guys, but they're sexually attracted to those guys. We call those guys alphas, right? In the space. And then the guys that they want to settle down with and just get provisioning or whatever, they'll be a good girl for that guy. So they will hold out for this guy. They will, you know, we've got to be committed before we have sex and stuff. So they'll start making rules for this guy. But they do that because they think that guy's more they look at it as long-term relationship material, right? Oh, you're boyfriend material, your husband material, right? You're the kind of guy I would bring home to my mom, but this guy over here, right? So they almost have the same kind of thing. And they'll look at it like, oh no, yeah, but I wouldn't want to settle down with this guy. He's just really good in the sack, right? So it's almost like ingrained in them as well from that standpoint.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Also, women accuse men of like objectifying women a lot. We objectify men financially too. Like you could look at it on both sides too.
Yeah.
So I would
Richard Cooper says women are sex objects, men are success objects.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, just own that shit. You know, like, okay, yeah, You know, which is funny too, because a lot of guys obsess over the money thing, right? They think, oh, women, they only want a guy because he's got money and stuff like that. Well, a lot of times those guys are also the same guys that lead with their wallet. They're like, oh, let me fly you out to my, wherever. Let me take you on a big lavish vacation for our first date. Let me take you to a 5-star restaurant to impress you with all this money I have. And so when women are like, oh yeah, sure, I'd love to go to a 5-star restaurant. Sure. They would, of course they're going to take advantage of it. And it's like, but that's all you have to offer. But a woman could sense a guy's ambition, a guy's drive for things. And that by itself tends to be a quality that does accumulate more money. And so a lot of times it's not the money itself. It's the traits that allow the guy to acquire resources that women are drawn to,
True. But also I think guys who are so paranoid about that, like women needing them for their money, they're the same guys that really only want women for sex. Like it's, again, just a projection. Like if that's how your orientation to women, it's very like one dimensional, you're obviously going to have that feeling because that's your relation point. The men I know who are like a lot more depthy and, get to know someone, they're not as paranoid because they also, they know how to like vet for that too. And that's not their orientation.
Yeah, I mean, when I learned to be a better dater, because I used to do that shit too. I was making really good money as an IT director, and so yeah, I was trying to impress women by doing all these fancy things. And when I learned that was a terrible strategy, I stopped doing it. And I started. Now you teach women, like I would say, hey, drinks only, and for the first couple of dates, right? And you would say, no, don't even. That's low effort or whatever. This is why I love having you on the podcast, because you can see the different strategies at play, right? Well, the way it tends to work on the guy's side, if they play out this way, is they get the woman's emotional investment first. And then when she discovers he has money, it's a bonus, but she now likes you for you. And so that's us trying to vet for women that aren't just there for the money. Like, yeah, all women love money. Fucking who doesn't love money? Get to be real, right? but if you want her to like you for you and want to be in that relationship because she genuinely wants to be there, you have to have her discover that on the back end after she's already got the emotional buy-in. And that's how it works when with the strategy that I teach. Now, obviously you teach a different strategy, but it's because women have different goals too, right?
I just think like I hear it and whatever, if it works for you, I'm to do whatever works. You know what I'm saying? For you. Like for me, it's like, would you be interested in the woman if she wasn't hot? Like, no. So she can't.
Yeah, but you can see that out the gate. You can't see if I have money out the gate, right? Exactly. So you're trying to ascertain, is this guy successful out the gate?
Right. But I just like for guys to like, we need to take it out, which it's fine. I don't think that a guy should be leading with money, but it's just like, also
we're not debating here. It's just, it's point counterpoint, and just observing the different strategies. And it's like, okay, cool. Like that's one of the things I actually love about your content is, I love watching you teach women girl game. And I'm like, oh, no, that's actually a fascinating standpoint, because you're trying to teach women to get what they want in a relationship, right? I'm trying to teach guys to get what they want in a relationship. It does tend to work out. Like the women that apply your strategy will find the guys that will fit with that strategy, and they will get their needs met better and they'll be happier. So we're at the end of the day, we're doing the same thing.
It's true.
Okay, so has being in a serious relationship ever made you feel like you couldn't express what you actually wanted in the bedroom just because of the relationship label itself?
No, not me. Not me. But I've worked with women who have that, but I have the opposite. I've had like sex be the strongest point of connection, which feels actually lonely after a while. So I've had to navigate like, strengthening other domains or vetting partners, like holding that back so that I'm vetting for other areas so that that's not like the the main thing. But yeah, a lot of women do kind of feel like that. Like I mentioned, you know, was holding back in large part, and then later on kind of really opened up, and even got comments from her partner like, I know it's not your first rodeo. I don't want to know what your past was, but I know you can't fuck like that. You know, if I'm your first dude.
That would be a dumb thing for a guy to say. That would be I would say in the bedroom, if she is just blowing your mind in the bedroom and just doing all the things you like. And at the end of that, you say, oh, I can tell that you've been with a bunch of other dudes. Oh, that's going to shut her fucking down right there. She's going to get in her head about it. It's going to form a complex. She's not going to feel comfortable with you. Just enjoy.
I got in my hearing about it. I got in my head about it. And I was like, oh, do I have to like stifle my performance and not be so much so that like, am I giving myself away? You know, it like, or coming across in a certain way just because I'm like enjoying myself. Like I didn't even consider that, you know, I'm like, oh
yeah, no, I talk about
guys are like betting for or something.
I talk about it in the book, you know, if she does something right. And you give like a weird expression, like, oh shit, you know, like even if it's just slight like that and she notices, she's going to get accomplished. You're going to take her out of the moment, put her in her analytical brain. And all of a sudden she's going to get a complex about it. It's going to ruin the whole thing. She's never going to do any of this fun stuff again. Even if you enjoyed it, just you opening your dumb fucking mouth and sticking your foot in it is going to kill it for her. So what I tell guys is like, the goal with this is to, if she's showing her sexuality, like, you know, let her know she's a good girl. She's a good girl for doing that. You know, oh, you're a good girl for doing that, right? Like you want her to keep doing the stuff and make her feel safe enough that she can be like, okay, well, if he liked this, maybe, you know, I've always wanted to try this, right? And a lot of times too, one of the things I talk about in the book is a lot of women won't feel comfortable bringing up, like, because women have wild fantasies. You know, I talk about Nancy Friday's book in Dick Her Down Right. We've talked about Nancy Friday's book before, right?
I don't know, maybe.
Have you ever read My Secret Garden?
Oh, you have mentioned it. No, I haven't.
That should be required reading for your clients, I think, because I think what it'll do for your clients, this is a hypothesis, you'll have to test it for me and let me know. It will let them know that it's okay to have these desires. You know, now some of the desires in that book are just like, they do some of those to me cross a line, you know, like there's and what I mean by that is like, there's illegal shit in that women are fantasizing about, you know, like animals, they're fantasizing about children and shit. Like the book gets really bad in some places. I couldn't even finish it, you know, because I was like, I get the point. Women are fucking dirty. They're filthy. I get it. Right. But just because they have those fantasies doesn't mean that they're acting on them. But a lot of that is repressed, and they don't feel like they're in a comfortable enough place to show even the stuff that the guys want to do. And so one of the things I tell guys to do in the bedroom is don't put it on her to bring up some of these things. Like start introducing some of the stuff and just monitor her reaction to it. And if she's into it, keep going. If she's not, change gears, do something different, right? But if you introduce some of this stuff to her and she's into it, that the next time you guys are doing this, that opens the door for other things that you can test out and try. And eventually she's going to feel safe and comfortable enough to start expressing more of what she actually wants in the bedroom. And you guys are just going to have ridiculously great sex. But it's a slow burn over time for a lot of women to get them to open this stuff up and let them know it's okay. You know, like I'm not judging you for it. You know, I'm not telling all my friends about it and stuff like that. Your reputation's safe here. Everyone outside knows that you're a lady and stuff like that. But here you can be a bad girl, and she needs to feel safe enough to do that.
I'll also just say, I think it's like a false, it's called something in logic, but it's like a false association that if a woman is really sexual with you in the bedroom, then she's been with a lot of partners. It's like quite the opposite. I had a really long-term
false equivalency, I think.
False equivalency, thank you. I had a really long-term boyfriend in high school, and like we had a really beautiful sex life, and we experimented a lot. We, you know, like, I don't know, I came into my sexuality in that relationship. There's like,
but it was one guy. It was one guy just a million times.
Yeah, and we had a connection. It was beautiful. It was like it was kind of innocent. We were so young. We were each other's like first, right? But like, because I was with someone for so long, I felt so safe. We were both really sexual. Like, my natural sexuality is pretty, I'm a pretty passionate person, right? Like, I was able to be very expressive and like get to know that side of myself in that safe union. It wasn't like a lot of different men. So I think sometimes a man could see that and like then make comments like we were talking about, or shame a woman. But it's like, most of the time, like, even sex with new people, it's not as good because you don't feel safe. You don't know what they like. Like, that's not where you learn and where you really open up. Like, if a woman is like sexual, I don't think that it's necessarily means that she's been with a lot of people. It probably means that she maybe was with in a relationship or two or whatever, that she was able to like come into her own in that way.
Yeah, it's quite possible. And that's the thing I really like to drive home with guys is you'll never really know. You'll never really know her backstory, and it's just like, it's none of your business. It's not your business, and stop worrying about it. If you
enjoy it.
Like what I invite guys to do is just monitor how she is with you. If she's enthusiastic in the bedroom, she's treating you like an absolute king and just doing all this great stuff, none of the other bullshit in the red pill space matters. None of it. None of it matters. So who cares what her body count is? Oh, what about pair bonding? And studies show, you know what? Studies are for nerds. Okay. Fuck the studies. Just monitor how she is with you and quit being a little pussy. Right. Like, it's really such a simple strategy that to happiness in life. And a lot of guys they can't get out of their own fucking stupid analytical brain and what fucking percentages, fucking pie charts, fucking all that stuff is for nerds. Stop it. Just enjoy great sex in a great relationship, and you'll have a much happier life. Let's take a look at a couple of these comments, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up because we're a little over an hour here. Let's see. Dar Fitness says, that's why they lie or downplay body count, even though you shouldn't ask. Yeah, they feel judged for it, and they know there's a stigma around it, and so yeah, they just fucking don't ask. It's just a dumbass thing to do. Let's see. I've actually had a woman try to curtail my rackishness. Yeah, I mean, also when you go to try some of this stuff out in the bedroom, like, she's just fundamentally not going to be into it. Like, there's certain things that they're not going to like. There are prudish women out there. There's a lot of them, need to go and work with Morgan so they can fucking let their freak flag fly a little bit. But, honestly, a lot of guys too are rushing into committed relationships before really, playing the field and seeing, like, letting the cream rise to the top. That's how women typically date. They don't just put all their eggs in one basket. A lot of the times they casually just play things out and see which guy is their best option. And guys don't do that. They go all in on one girl, and then they just take what they can get, and then they're pissed off about it. It's like, dude, stop doing that shit. Just oh, here we go. You know what? Let's see. Has Morgan had a boyfriend who set strong boundaries, which she happily adhered to? What was the quality of the relationship? Or do you just say, fuck boundaries? Fuck your boundaries.
I don't know what do you mean by bound? I've had men who are very masculine. It's very apparent. Like, I have to behave and I can't cop an attitude like I want to sometimes. So, but have they like sat me down and been like, here are my bad? No, but it's like, not to like act a fool with certain men. And,
well, I would say if you're setting boundaries correctly, like women can just feel it. Like they can go, oh, you know what? I don't want to fuck things up. I like this guy. I probably crossed the line. I feel bad for guys do that too. Like if you crossed a girl's line, like most, especially nice guys, they naturally want to start apologizing and groveling and shit, right? Like, you crossed the line. Well, women are human too. They can sense a lot of this stuff, and if a woman's just like, just super disrespectful all the time, and you're trying to sit her down, like, and then she just keeps doing it. Well, she probably shouldn't be in a relationship with a chick like that. She just has no respect for you. And, I don't know. It's a lot of this stuff really, a lot of people just fall into the program, the nice guy programming and stuff like that. Guys will let women walk all over them. They don't have any sense of boundaries. They don't even know what a boundary is. and they feel like if they even tell you that now I'm being controlling and stuff like that, well, it's all on how you say things, you know. Like a boundary isn't like Morgan, you can't go out to the clubs with your single hoe friends, right? I'm not in relationships with women that go out with their single hoe friends when they're in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
You can still go do it if you want, right? You can still go do it. I'm not allowing you to do it. You're just not welcome in my life if you're going to keep doing that shit. But that's not controlling verbiage. It's, I don't do this, you know? And then if you are into me, you'll respect it. If you're not, you'll fucking disregard that, right? Okay, well, you made your choice. Clearly, this isn't the relationship for you, right? Like, okay, that's not
compatibility. All this, everything we're talking about is compatible. Sexual compatibility is like a thing. Find someone on your level who has the same drive as you, who does what you like. Like, if you're a rake and you're going for prudish girls, it's probably not going to be a match long term. Like, if you feel like you have to set super strong boundaries and sit someone down, then like, why? I never want to control anyone. I just look for like compatibility, and then like there's some things that you negotiate, you know, over time. But it's just like, if I feel like I have to like sit and be like whatever, like I'm not interested. I don't like that side of myself. I don't like having to do that for people, you know. So
yeah, it's not a fun conversation. Morgan, always a pleasure having you on the podcast. I hope we got across all the stuff that you wanted to talk about. Did we hit everything, or is there anything that I missed?
Yeah, I thought it was a great combo. Yeah.
All right. Well, where can people find you online and get in contact with you?
At the Morgan May on Instagram and TikTok, and themorganmay.com World Wide Web.
Oh, you know, I think I forgot to put your website in the description. I'll update the description right after this. But yeah, at themorganmay.com is your main website, and they can find all of her stuff there. Teaching girls girl game, guys. You guys might want to sign up for whatever she's got going on, just to see how to defend against the dark arts. You know, you might
dark arts. It's all good. It's all good. There's no manipulation here.
Guys, tune into the podcast on Friday. I heard an interesting concept while listening to the audiobook called The Life Power and How to Use It by Elizabeth Town. And I thought it would make for a great Frame Friday with just a tad bit of woo-woo sprinkled in, but not too much. It will be about emotional control, but how the Bible tells us the kingdom of heaven is within you. What if hell is within you too? We'll get into that on Friday, but that's all we got this time, guys. Do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications, and we'll see you next time.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.